Welcome back, everybody. We're here with Judy, and this is a testimonial that a lot of people have been waiting for. She's inspired a lot of you on Instagram and on Facebook, and you've seen her work and you want to hear her story. And so do I. So we're here to find out a little bit more about Judy. And today's interview is going to be awesome. I want to start with the first question is just letting the viewers know who you are, a little bit more about you in case they haven't seen any of your posts yet or any of your journey. So tell us obviously your name and where you're from, and then anything you can about your lifestyle and some of the things you do for hobbies.
Good morning, everyone, or afternoon, maybe. My name is Judy, as Lauren said. I'm 68 years old. I worked in an office my whole life, mostly in human resources, so a lot of sit down time. I'm retired now. I have been since 2011. I have two grandchildren, one stepson, two grandchildren, 11 great nieces and nephews. So that keeps me busy. I'm doing with and for things for them. I sew. I took up sewing a few years back. Well, actually quilting, and it's turned into sewing because my family liked to bring me the most ludicrous projects, fixing brassieres and things, that I never thought I could do. But anyway, that's what I do now. I do some volunteer work at the local food bank. I traveled to Arizona in the winter for 6 months and continue to do all the same things down there.
That's awesome. I love that you talked about sewing as a hobby because you've actually made some pretty cool Precision Elite training towels for us. And we've distributed those out to people all over the world. And now these little towels are running around. It's great. So good to have your sewing pay off in many, many ways. And we stole your sewing room to turn it into a workout room. So,
well, it is. I've done that.
That's awesome. One of the first questions people always ask when obviously hearing about someone's fitness and health and transformation journey, because your transformation has been pretty amazing. Just to give an overall idea of how much transformation you've undergone, focusing on some of the things people normally get caught up on, like scale weight or inches lost, what would be your overall summary of your weight loss and inches?
Well, I've lost over 30 pounds since I started working out with you, Lawrence, which was in the summer of 2020. First at the gym and then online, group classes, and now one-on-one 3 times a week. And I'm loving that. In terms of inches, I never was an inches person because mostly I would go by, if I have to go and buy what size of clothes I had to buy. And as a woman, for me, that meant a lot as I sneaked up from 12s to 14s to 16s. And even at one point in my life, 18s. So I didn't care what size the waist was in the pants. I just wasn't moving to the next size level. So, but I can tell you in terms of inches, it's so visible if you see any before and after pictures of me in terms of the whole business, the whole size of what I am. The pounds was always my focus. I used to weigh myself every day, every day. And since working out with you, I've realized that doesn't even make any sense. I can weigh the same and be smaller, wear smaller clothes and still weigh the same as I weighed last month. So yeah, I don't focus on the scale anymore, but I did. So in terms of inches, it would be a guess. I know I've gone down to a size 12, 14 from a 16. So from an XXL to an L or a medium. So for most women, I think that'll make sense to them.
That's a good way to put it, and because most of our viewers are female, they can relate to the clothing sizes more than tape measure inches, which is awesome. So thank you for that. I love that you mentioned we started in 2020, so that would put it at 3 years, I guess,
summer of 2020,
going into our 4th year together, and which would have put us right in that time frame where the gyms were shutting down and the lockdowns were beginning stuff. But if you could, I want to get you to take it back to where even before that, because some of the women watching are maybe first timers. They've never even been to a gym yet. And they're like, well, but where did it all start? So if you could walk us back and go to your start of your journey, whatever got you from wherever you were in life to fitness in the first place.
Well, given that I'm 68, my fitness journey, if you want to call it a journey, the first time I ever set foot in the gym was in 1974. And the only reason I did that is I had a roommate who was a fitness instructor. So she dragged me, come on, you'll like it. I'd never lifted weights. I'd never done any kind of anything. I didn't jog. I wasn't really big in those days. I mean, what I thought I was fine. I mean, I'm a product of the 70s who drank beer, not for a living, but a bit. We partied hard at night and got up and went to work and, whatever, hard weekends and whatever. So she kind of tried to get me into doing something. And I did. And I was good at it. I mean, I was leg pressing 500 and some pounds and there were men looking at me like, but it didn't resonate with me because I'd always sort of been a strong person. My dad had 4 girls and 1 son who was in the middle. And there were lots of times where we had to help do heavy things because my dad had health issues. So, I remember carrying a wooden boat, for God's sakes, from our dock up to, instead of cutting it at the dock, my dad decided we should drag it up the hill to the camp and then chop it up there and take it to the dump or whatever we did with it. A wooden boat, for God's sakes, So there was my sister and I, my dad, and I don't know who else, but it was like, okay, girls, pitch in, and start digging and lifting up the dock with my back so we could put it up on the hinges. I mean, just crazy stuff. So I never worried about fitness until I started living with my friend Louise. And she said, come on. And I started working out, but I was just doing it because, they wanted me to go into powerlifting. And I said, no, because they said you have to quit drinking. I said, well, then there you go. That ain't going to happen because I'm having fun. And that was it. So my journey's gone on for a long time. Most of it, as I got a little bit older, became about body image because I always had a negative body image from when I was a kid. But it would, come and go. And there were times when I'd be really down on it. And other times when I'd lose a bit of weight and feel good and move on and get right back into the same old habits. Yeah. So that goes back that far. I mean, I've done every kind of aerobics classes for a winter, and then I'd get into the next buzz form. I'd go to curves. I'd always end up back at a gym with a trainer, but then I'd get fed up and move off. And so when I found the gym where I found you in 2020 was in the middle of COVID, and I was 196 pounds and not happy with where I was. But I have to say, I had a trainer since 2011. Actually, I had 2 trainers because I worked out 6 months at home and 6 months in Arizona with a different trainer. But the training, how can I say, I felt like compared to what I'm doing with you now, I felt like I was just going through the motions. These are curls and this is triceps and this is legs and then just keep redoing the same thing. I never had any results. And I'd be like, God, I work out so hard, or at least I thought I did. Now I work out hard. And then I was probably just coasting, So yeah, it goes back a long time. I always goes back to elementary school. I mean, I had a pot belly and the other kids didn't. And that was my body structure. And I was on the swim team in grade 8. And I used to look at all the other little girls. We weren't very big in those days. And they were all hip bones sticking out like little girls. And I had a pot belly. Like, that's how far back and how deep some of that stuff resonates with me in terms of why I'm on this journey and why I'm where I am now and how happy I am now.
That's awesome. Wow.
I think so.
That's great. I love that question because it allows us to kind of get a really good feel for the journey, right? It's not just a overnight quick fix. I mean, you talked about multiple yo-yoing attempts in
Weight Watchers on and off, and yeah, go to this gym, go on this class, a high impact aerobics, 3-hour aerobics class, things. And it's like, oh my God, just wear myself out and still look the same. So
yeah. And you said something really good there where you talked about, I feel like I was working hard, right? And the way you stated that was you felt you were giving it everything you could. And for some reason, the result wasn't showing up. And
yeah.
Would you say, obviously, one of the questions I want to ask is, how did our training affect you? But when we talk first about the obstacles and the frustrations, that would have had to have been one of them, was a frustration of I'm working my butt off and I'm not seeing it pay off in the physical aspect, which is one of the things that you struggled with by the sounds of it in the body image department. So how many other struggles? Like, was that the main struggle, or were there a lot of other struggles at the time in the approaches you were taking?
Well, I didn't have the understanding then that I have now of the exercise and food dynamic. I've never eaten poorly. I mean, we grew up on potatoes and protein, vegetables, meat and potatoes, and square meals and stuff like that. So it's not like I ate poorly. Did I overeat? Oh, hell yeah. I ate way more than I needed to, and not necessarily of the right thing. I love meat. I mean, my husband and I call ourselves carnivores, but I also love pasta. So if pasta was on the menu, it was 2 plates worth, or, that kind of thing. So I never had that kind of understanding, and nobody ever took me there on my journey with any of the trainers or any of the people. Nobody ever explained to me the dynamics of food and exercise and what it does for your body and nutrition. So yeah, I was busting my hump and doing these things, and the only way I would lose weight would be Weight Watchers. And God forbid, I'm not saying anything about Weight Watchers. That's a great program. It's controlled eating, basically. Same food, controlled eating. And so, yeah, that was my biggest thing. And I gained it back. I'd gain it back, and I'd gain it back, and then some.
Right, every time. And that becomes a frustration, obviously. You were talking about the insecurity, the body images and things. Were there any obstacles that stood in your way of affecting your life? Now, it could be physically, like I wasn't able to climb a flight of stairs without running out of air because I was so, cardiovascular shape. Or maybe it was the body image thing. I didn't like to get dressed up and go to social gatherings. I always felt really self-conscious. Were there anything like that in your life that stood in the way of you living a better version of the life because you weren't getting the result at that time?
Well, there's a couple things that popped into my head when you said that. One, I didn't mention that I had back surgery, ruptured and herniated disc in 2005 from pulling up the anchor on my sailboat, thinking I was so strong, and actually blowing out a disc in my back. And so for a while after that, I was so worried about doing anything physical. I stopped cross-country skiing. I stopped curling, which I used to do twice a week. So I kind of went through a period of time where I didn't do a lot of anything physical. And then I started seeing that I couldn't walk the basement stairs without huffing and puffing, getting a headspace. I certainly, and I still, I'm not a fan of cardio, as you know, but I'll do it when and it happens naturally with our weightlifting and stuff. So the back was a big obstacle, and the timing was bad because it was sort of close to menopause, right? So in 2005, I was born in 55, 65, 75, 85, 95, that's 50, right? So not good timing in terms of the working out and stuff that I was doing. I just stopped doing everything and then started gradually getting back into doing things, but I always worried, I can't do squats. I can't do anything on my shoulders. I can't compress that disc. I've got just a little small disc. So that was my biggest sort of physical hurdle. The rest of it was emotional stuff, like not wanting to do things because you're right, you don't look good or you don't feel good or
Yeah, I think that's awesome because people relate to that in the way of a lot of ladies right now aren't living the best life they could be living because of these insecurities or these lack of confidence, if you want to call it. And when I first met you, and we'll talk about that part, you were a much different person, even as a whole. And it doesn't mean that personality wise you were extremely different, but your personality does change as you change your physical being as well. And because your personality is kind of an encapsulation of everything about you. So when you first came in, tell us about the first part of getting into it and what our program's evolution has done for that lifestyle that we just talked about. What was it like and what made you decide to kind of work with us for the first time?
Well, a couple things. Okay, first of all, the gym I was going to had closed. So I was scrambling because I had been working with trainers, and I knew that if I didn't find a trainer, I'd be down in doing nothing again, right? Even though I didn't feel I was getting the results, I thought I was getting the results until now. But anyway, so that was that. So I immediately joined the gym that you were training out of at that point. So my first day with you, the first thing I remember is we sat down and you started asking me about goals and what am I trying to do? And, I remember saying, well, I don't want to wear a bikini, but I would like to, I was at that point, 64 or whatever. I need to look a little better, be stronger, be healthier, be able to continue to pick up my grandchildren. And I didn't have as many great nieces and nephews then, but whatever, right? Be able to contribute physically and whatever. So one of the first things we did, and you were talking about, I had to get on the body scale and whatever. And I thought, oh my God, you made me do flexibility, touch my toes and all these things. And I thought, oh my God, this guy really is delving deep into my issues, and my fat belly and all these things. And, so we did all that. And then we started working out. And, I tell you this all the time. I had that aha moment. I had more than one aha moment. But one of my biggest aha moments was the day we were doing rows, one arm rows. And I had done them. And you said, this is what I want you to do, and whatever. So I leaned on the bench and picked whatever I was doing. And I'm lifting, I'm rowing. And he started explaining to me about, you got to engage your lateral muscle first, because you're not lifting. I've been doing rows for 30 years thinking it was an arm exercise. You know what I mean? And I go back to that all the time, because for God's sakes, this guy's explaining to me the connectivity of muscles, and why this lifts and why this pushes, and the different things, heads of the shoulder and all these kinds of things. And I couldn't remember it, and I use age as an excuse, but that was for me. You texted me my first weekend, and 2 words: posture up. I'm looking at my phone going, what the hell? Posture up. Oh, okay. And that I say that in my head. Well, I won't say daily, but maybe twice a week. If I'm walking or if I'm doing anything, posture up comes into my head. I joined your what do we call that at night? I took your class. I asked you if you thought I could do it.
The board games?
Boot camp. Boot camp. Yeah, when we were still at the gym, you were running boot camp.
Yes.
So, of course, I joined level 1 thinking, oh, my God, I'll never do this. So there was just 2 other people and me. And you said, okay, guys, I'm going to put you into the level 2 class because there's no sense doing it for 3, whatever. Okay, whatever. I said, I don't think I can do that. You said, yeah, you can. So I did. And I went to the back of the class, and there was some really fit women in there. And there was another lady kind of chubby like me. And I thought, okay, thank God, but burpees, hello, I'd lay down on the floor, and you had us doing all these things, but I did it. I stayed. I went through it. Matter of fact, I think I did 2 full sessions until COVID kicked us home and whatever. And then I continued with you at home. So yeah.
That's awesome. There's parts of that story that even come back to me, and I go, oh yeah, I remember now. That's amazing. One of the things we've always made a motto of ours is posture up, because I think anyone listening to this right now, you'll find that through the day we do slouch over, and we do get a really bad, thoracic spine. And with these things, right, these devices, we're always over and we're scrolling. And
the old neck hump.
Yeah, it's becoming more of an issue. And so if you just say to yourself, posture up, and it reminds you to straighten that posture, it just changes the whole way you feel, instantly. It's a quick state physiology change. And so I'm glad that got through. That was something that stuck with you.
Well, and I knew then and there that you and I were going to click, because you were as committed to me as I wanted to be, to you, to the program, to my body and my health,
That's amazing. Yeah. Wow. And so, that leads to, how did the program help you? In so many ways, it's much more than just that weight loss that you ended up achieving. There was a lot of areas outside of the scale, the non-scale victories that really started to come to light. One of the things that makes me think back to your journey, and I'd love to hear more about, was when you first came in, there were those issues, the issues you talked about, the discs, the compression, things like that.
Yeah.
But you also had 2 knee braces on.
Oh, yeah.
And you were like, I'm never going to squat or lunge. That's not possible for me. Like, in this way.
Yeah.
Tell us a little about that. How did all that come to be?
Well, I mean, some of it is arthritis and has been coming over time. But I also had crooked patella in my right knee, which is the bone kind of in the knee was not tracking like straight. And it was a bit like this. So I'd go to do things and it'd be bone on bone. So I would walk down the stairs leading left foot, right foot down, left foot, right foot down, because I couldn't, go down normally with my knee. So I started wearing braces for anything heavy, even the squats I did in those days, which were basically only a 90-degree squat, or maybe not even a 90-degree squat. I had to wear braces because my knees were not stable enough walking the stairs. I held the railing, so yeah, I did. I don't wear them anymore. Right. Because you developed my muscles to support my legs and my knees. I have had to put them on occasion. Every now and then the arthritis and whatever acts up. I haven't had the patella re-x-rayed. Maybe it's fixed itself because I've gotten so much stronger, but I don't wear them. The braces I drag around just in case. They're my just in case things.
Yeah, I love that. One of the things is a lot of people end up going for years to physiotherapy and they go in and out and in and out and they never really get that the fact that you can recover, and it's not doesn't have to be a long dragged out process if the training's right. And so what we started doing was implementing all of your posture and your alignment and getting you doing things. And the next thing you know, here you are doing lunges, right? An exercise that
I'm
would
falling down.
yeah, and most of the time people get a lot of pressure and pain in a lunge into their knee if they're doing it incorrectly. And that was some of the things that you had never really been taught. And I think that's something you were touching on when you talked about the connection and all that mind muscle connection that we talk about and breaking down what muscles are responsible for what movement. And it's important that for you connected with the information so that learning more about why it's working made it more sustainable. Would you agree? Like, is that kind
Oh,
of
absolutely. Absolutely. I understand what the different exercises are for and what the movements are for. And yeah, it made it easier for me. I don't think now when I go to lift something, I just do. My knees bend. I use my hips to bend instead of my back. And, I picked my granddaughter up out of the water. There's another example I gave you one day. She was in the water at camp and Doc, I had to bend over to help her get up. She's about probably 85 pounds. And because they didn't have their ladder in, that was just this summer. And she said, Grandma, can you help me get out? And I said, sure. I bent over, grabbed her around the wrists, pulled her up onto the dock and stood her up. And she was, Grandma, you're stronger than that. I think she was thinking that I would help her up and she'd have to wail belly flop kind of onto the dock. But I didn't even think about it. It was like, whoop her on the dock and her eyes were as big as sausage. Grandma.
That's so funny. That's amazing. I think to hear it in real life application is where it really is at its greatest because most people, when they talk about a goal, when we say, well, what is your goal? And you start, it's weight loss, or I want to see a certain amount of inches lost, whatever. And people get caught up on those numbers. But then when they hear a story like that, I was able to pull my granddaughter up out of the water and physically I could contribute to my lifestyle so much more and not have to ask for help every time I turn around. I need someone to do this or that. There was a story about carrying a chair one time. I had to laugh. Tell us that.
Yeah. Okay. So we have a summer cottage. My family, not my husband and I, but my siblings and I. And we were bringing up some wooden Adirondack chairs from the dock that needed to be worked on. And we wanted to get them up into the backyard so we could tarp them and whatever in case it rained. Anyway, so we have a railing going up and our two sets of stairs, like our dock is down low. So I wanted to carry this up and I thought, okay. And I thought if I could carry, it's kind of bulky, like an Adirondack chair. And I thought, okay, I'll break my neck trying to go up the stairs with this. So I picked it up, put it over my head, and just walked up the stairs to the top of the stairs and put it down. But there are things that I don't think about. I just do now. Like somebody says, can you help me lift this? Sure. I don't say, is it heavy? Or, I just do it. I mean, obviously, if I can't, I can't. I don't hurt myself. But touch wood, I haven't got to a point where I've had to say, over my head. I just do.
Yeah.
That's great. I love it.
That is, and you can see that obviously you light up when you're able to tell stories like that. And I think everybody would love to be able to say things like that. Like, I don't even have to think about it. I just have that kind of confidence. Was confidence ever an issue for you? Or did you become more confident obviously after you started training and you started learning more about what you were really capable of? Were you someone who set a lot of limitations on what was possible and now there's like no ceiling on that? Where were you and where are you now on that?
Well, physical confidence, I always knew I was strong, but I used to overestimate what I could do. And I'd be, oh yeah, I can help you carry that or whatever. And I couldn't. And, so it kind of knocked back my confidence a little. In terms of life confidence, other than body image, I always had, people used to think I was so outgoing when really, in fact, inside my head, there was all these things going on in terms of confidence. But I feel way more confident now because it's about body image for me. I feel good. I think I look good. Am I size 6? No. I'm size 12, size 14, which for me, if I lose a few more pounds, I'm happy. I keep the inches off, I'm even happier, right? My pants fit. Matter of fact, I'm on another wardrobe, again. And so, yeah, I don't have a lack of confidence, but in some ways I did.
That's awesome. And again, like I said, I always learn more and more about, our journey as we talk as well. The description of your life now versus then is obviously becoming pretty evident. One of the questions I like to ask is how much different is it now? What would you highlight if there was like an aha moment that was not just training related, but lifestyle related? Like I never realized that I would have got to this point. Has there been any achievement in your life overall that has now come to fruition? You can actually see how different your life is because of it?
Well, as you always say, practice makes permanent, right? Um, if I'd have known then, or I maybe knew it, but it went, and gone, about the relationship between food and exercise, and the difference between what you eat and how much you eat and whatever, and got the commitment. Now I have the commitment. You have given me that commitment, and I'm not going back. I am not buying bigger clothes. I am not, going to be feeling like my belly went around the corner before I did. I'm not going there anymore. So that's, if I'd have known then what I know now about the whole connectivity between all these things that make you feel good and look good and be healthier and stronger. And my blood pressure is amazing. I mean, there's all kinds of crazy things. So I don't know, did I answer that question?
Yeah, that's a great answer. And I love that you touched on your medical as well, that like literally your blood tests are great and your advice from your doctor is, hey, keep doing what you're doing.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Obviously, you're still working out, she says. Obviously, as I'm sitting there in my jeans and t-shirt, I wasn't flexing or anything, but she could tell by the look of me, right? So,
yeah, that's
yeah.
awesome. And I think a lot of people get caught up in either old injury excuses or medication. Well, the doctor has me on this and they have me on that. Have you ever battled with medications along the journey?
No, not really. I mean, I do take some. I do take some blood pressure meds and some cholesterol meds. And, I don't even know if I need them anymore because the numbers are so good. I don't know if it's just because, but they don't just hop you in and out of some of that stuff, right? But all my readings are good. No, I don't think I've really struggled a lot with meds. Now I'm looking at some arthritis stuff and whatever, but that's okay. I'm surpassing that. But one thing I want to say, and I don't know that I touched on it, and you said, people worry about a lot of injuries and things. Do not let age be a deterrent. So many people say, oh my God, I wish I could do that. Or how do you do that? Oh my God, age is just a number, right? You can work up to anything. I'm watching all these other older women on Instagram and whatever, and I'm thinking, yes, girls, you go. Age is just a number, and it's never too late to start. And you may never get into heavy stuff, but you know what? You're going to feel better. You're going to look better, and your health will improve. So it doesn't matter if you're 50 or 40. But a bit of advice: premenopause is good because your skin can still shrink.
Right.
Postmenopause, girls, you get this, right?
Yeah, after losing 30 some pounds and
Yeah, exactly. Skin doesn't go away.
the emptiness is there. Yeah. That's awesome. But yeah, I think it's important to touch on that because a lot of people get caught up in the excuses of why they can't do something, and yet they still want to dream about doing it, and they'll say, "I'm too old for that," and they'll accept that as an excuse. You've proven, obviously, in your journey that it was 3 years ago you started, and here you are 3 years later. If you were just starting today, you'd have to look back and go, "I wish I started 3 years ago." And you probably, even though you started 3 years ago, look back and go, "I wish I had started this 10 years ago." Right?
Well, and I tell you this, I wish I'd met you 20 years ago,
20.
when I was 48, not 68, and still sort of in the menopause kind of thing. And maybe things would have been different and I would have been sustaining this last 20 years like this. But I'm glad I got you now.
Yeah, it's amazing to think back how far you've come and what you've learned in there. And in the process, you learned about balancing, I think, more than anything. Every client's different that we work with. And one of the things with you was you had always stated, I'm never giving up that wine. I'm never giving up that beer. And, you know, you had some hardcore old habits, I guess, and they were implemented in, like you said, you're a product of the 70s, right? So when we talk about your nutrition, have you had to give all that up to achieve the 30 pounds of weight loss and all this strength and confidence? Are you on a very strict approach now? Tell everybody about what life really looks like.
Well, I did give up beer, as you know. My first year with Lawrence in 2020, when we talked about my lifestyle and whatever, I was just coming off of 3 months in COVID where we were in lockdown, and my husband and I would sit in the driveway with the neighbors and drink beer every day in April and May and June, and when the weather was getting nice, because when nobody could go to work, so we'd sit in our little bubble outside and drink beer. So one weekend in the fall of 2020, do you remember asking me to just try not drinking beer for the weekend? And I promised you, and we were going somewhere with other people, and I promised you, okay, I'm not drinking beer, Lawrence. I'm not going to drink beer this weekend. And I didn't, and I haven't since. I've had some near beer, pretend beer with no alcohol in it, or 0.1 or whatever's in it. And finally gave up on that, even saying, why would I drink 60 calories for no reason? Now, wine, on the other hand, no, I haven't given up my wine. I drink less and I don't drink as often. But if I want to sit down and have 3 glasses of wine, I do.
Yeah.
And I don't care. And I'm not feeling guilty about it and whatever. So, no, I have changed the way, not what I eat, the way I eat. Kind of when I eat certain things, when I eat my proteins, when I eat my, fresh, of course, has always been sort of my thing. I've tried to do that, but quantity of eating has definitely changed. Quantity of alcohol has significantly changed, but I still live the life. I mean, I'm not ready to give up everything that I've done my whole life.
Yeah.
Never do that. I mean, unless
awesome.
I get sick.
Yeah, and you've learned that that's sustainable, that's balance, and it's actually very enjoyable when you figure
Exactly.
it out.
Exactly. If you're going to do that today, then for the next week, you pay attention and give her workout,
Yeah,
do your
love
walking
it.
every day and stuff like that. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I could sit here and talk, journey with you forever because you've got so much experience and such a great transformation story. But to keep it so that the viewers here get the
Oh
best,
my God. I know. I talk a lot. I know.
to get the best of the best from you, I want you to go back and give the Judy who started this journey out, or the lady who's watching right now going, I love this lady, I relate to her, and I wish she would give me some advice. What would you tell her?
I would tell them to find a way to get the understanding of what it is you're trying to do, what your goals are, but get the understanding through either a trainer, or if you can't afford that or whatever, do some reading, join some kind of an online person like you who will talk to them and help them understand the food exercise relationship. And so they don't go to Weight Watchers and then gain back 30 pounds, and they don't go to Nutrisystem and then gain it all back, and they don't have to go to Michael Thurman diets, or all. I tried every buzzword out there, cabbage soup diet. I mean, that was a big thing in the 70s. My mother used to make me eat cottage cheese, which I hated, and I just have since reintroduced cottage cheese on lettuce and lamb. Ugh. I couldn't eat. That was some stupid diet she was on, right? It was like, oh my God. So no, get the understanding right up front and then go from there, one day at a time.
That's such great advice. I love that. And the catchphrase that I take from that is yo, 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 no.
Yeah. No, yo. Yeah.
That was
Yo,
awesome.
no, yo,
Because a
no.
lot of
Yeah.
people do get caught up in the yo-yoing from whatever the fad is and back again. And it's just put a stop there, get information that'll help you.
It is sustainable if you know how to do it.
Right.
And I'm not going back. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Very, very awesome. Now, I know that you had prepared, some ideas you wanted to make sure you talked on. Did I miss any highlighted points that you wanted to mention to the viewers, or
I
any?
don't think so. I don't think so. I tried to talk about me and,
Yeah.
and put it into terms that a lot of women can understand about self-esteem and body image and clothing, as the sizes went up and up and up. It was, when I hit 205 at one point in my life, I thought, oh my God, I should shoot myself. How could I wear my mouth shut? I used to wish I'd get a broken jaw and wear my mouth shut. Man, I used to think about all these crazy things, because I just hated it. So yeah, looking at other people and thinking, oh God, can I just look like that for once in my life? So, but I don't do that anymore. I look like me. I feel good. I I like who I am and
I
where I
love
am.
it. I love it. There we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, you've met Judy today. You've heard her story. I hope that she's inspired you. I know that she's inspired many people out there already. And today it just, really sinks in at how real it is and how much fun the journey can be. I think that's important to note that we have a lot of fun while we do it. And
We do.
we can't even imagine it any other way. So, thank you
Right
all
on.
for watching.
Posture up, everyone.
There it is. Posture up. We appreciate
Posture
you.
up.
And we will see you all next time. Take care, everybody.
See ya.